Hi, my name is Raj Sekandar Chaudhary, and this is about a happy and peaceful life for all, from each to everybody. Well, I have done a few videos on this, but I think this is so important that it has to be done several times. So, let's start. Uh, I mean, is it possible to have a happy and peaceful life for each and everybody? Because the very question is sort of cynical or something pessimistic. But the thing is that by all accounts, if we see, we observe, and we live, in fact, and we can see that our lives are not happy or peaceful any uh, by any cause, by any consideration. So, uh, so what is it all about? The thing is, I started this sort of, I should not say quest, but just a study and research a long time ago, from 1974, almost 51 years ago. But that does not matter, whether it was too long or short. So what I started was a discipline which is still very not known, which is called prospective in France, or prospective studies, which means the studying of futures. But almost immediately when I started this study and research, etc., I understood that it is not about question about future or etc. It is about possibilities, because future is not real. Future is possibilities, and sometimes with very the near future is potentiality, that what we are we what might happen uh, tomorrow, or let's say the next month, next year, etc., and leaving the conditions not changing, what might follow and what might happen. So, well, that's it. Then the thing is that, well, I was looking for many things and all sort of knowledge, etc., past, present, etc. Then slowly and slowly, well, I developed many even ideas and even theories, but then I surpassed them, I think. And after quite some time, quite a few years, what I hit upon, what I found is that it is not something or knowledge or etc., whatever it is, or intellectual theories, that in our core of core, or heart of hearts, we human beings, and we are almost about 8 billion of us on this earth, what we want is a happy and peaceful life. We want, that's our desire, and we want a happy and peaceful life. Then the, the very question which comes afterwards is that, are we really happy and peaceful life? Are we leading a happy and peaceful life? Certainly not really. Maybe sometimes some people, etc., but not as a whole humanity. So, and was it before that we were happy and peaceful, and especially future? So from the, if we study the present, we can very easily say that if this is the present situation and state of things, then certainly the future, the near future, or even a longer distant future, is not going to be a happy and peaceful life for others, for human beings. And now there is, well, to cut it a bit short, because I'll be making different videos, so we'll go on then. The poet Milton said and wrote, "The paradise lost." That means we had some sort of paradise, and then in other scriptures and ancient texts, religious texts like Bible, the Old Testament, and other things, there was some golden age, or that were the Garden of Eden, and then sometimes we made some mistake, the Adam and Eve, etc., and well, we lost the paradise. But well, there was some sort of thing some sort of life in somewhere in some places where you can say that it was paradisiac, like paradise, but does not mean milk and honey, but that they had food, small groups of human beings, so from 20 to 25. That is the size even now. There is in many traditional countries this size of the family, extended families around this band of humans from 20 to 25. They had food, they had shelter, and they had enough food and enough shelter, and also water, and sweet water is very, very important. So very often they look for sweet waters, whether fountains in the mountains or in even small mountains, and or a river, and a safe place. That means a habitat. Many, uh, very often a cave, and then food. Well, they had. So in one way or other, so this sort of, you can say a poor paradise, but still a paradise. Well, the things that started and then evolved, there was evolution going on. And I've said in other videos that how what things followed is that, uh, well, we have around from say the anthropologists, they say that the Lucy, our great ancestor, this Lucy human being, around 3 million years ago in the Lake Turkana in the Kenya region, whatever it is. And it went on and it went on, evolved, etc. Then there were many Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, etc. Then Homo sapiens sapiens. And it's an old way of saying, but well, it's all right, I think, to categorize this way. And then the something happened which is very, very important. This consciousness happened. It says around maximum 200,000 years ago, maybe from 100,000 to 200,000 years. It's not very long in the evolutionary scale of human beings, because we are saying of 3 million years. 3 million is a very, very long time. At any rate, and even for now, even when we were born, we are not conscious whether it's a boy or a girl. It's around 7 or 8 years that we become really conscious. I myself became conscious, I know, at the age of 8. And one of the greatest psychologists, Carl Gustav Jung, he says that he became conscious at the age of 11. So he had a lot of time, almost 11 years of unconscious or subconscious life. So that's how we perhaps, well, that's another story. Well, so this happened, and then still we were inside nature, collecting and sometimes scavenging, collecting, and a small garden culture, etc. Then at the same time, they were hunting also. There was this sort of division of labor between the men and women. The men went for hunting, and the women, they were near. They stayed near the home because they were having children, and they were collecting and sometimes scavenging or collecting, fishing, etc., and some small gardening sort of things. I mean, sowing something and coming up with roots, etc. Well, whatever it is, so it went on. Then came, say, around 10,000 years ago, which we say a very big revolution, Neolithic one, because the tools were important. So whenever there are tools, they had to be taken and they're thrown away, especially the cutting tools. These cutting tools, they were Neolithic, which were polished. That means it could be used over and over again. Not many times, but still. Well, and so those things happened almost at the same time, let's say, in the evolutionary scale. Same times mean very, sometimes a few hundred years at that period. Okay, so what happened is that they were dependent on nature. The nature, they were hunting animals, and they were taking these fruits and vegetables from nature, etc. And then some very big rivers around, like there was agriculture, so which we say that rain-fed agriculture, which did not do much, did not have much quantitative aspect, did not have much quantity. And there were these very big rivers, the Nile River, and a bit farther east, the Mesopotamia, where the two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, and farther east, you have these five rivers in the Indian northeast, northwest of India, and this Indian language is called even this province is still known as Punjab. Punjab means punch up, means five waters, means five rivers. So this land of five rivers, and again still farther east, there was in China the Yangtze River, very big Yangtze River, and then afterwards it was joined with Huanghe, etc. And these rivers, what followed, they very often they had floods, and they used to flood. And this flood, what meant that they deposited sediments and were very nutrients. I mean, they are full. It was revigorated. The soil was topsoil was revigorated, and the water table was not very low. So, I mean, people were not experimenting or for trial and error. They were this cereal sort of things, grass-like things. Like, well, we have this rice and wheat and etc. They are in fact grass-like plants. Well, they used to throw away, and they used to grow, and they saw that this with these sediments that were deposited by the flood, they prospered. So they went on suddenly, and they continued, and it became they saw that this cereal culture was very promising. And at the same time, there are other groups which were taking the cattle raisers, the cattle, cows, buffaloes, I mean goats, sheep, etc. They were also having a bit sort of expansion. So what happened is that the small groups now along these very big rivers, they found that they became settled, and settled agrarian communities. And the other ones, they could not settle because the grass or etc. which grows in 1 year, they then sorry excuse me, the animals, the cattle, etc., they used to finish it up in 1 year, so they had to move, and they were sort of roaming sort of things. So on one side, you have sedentary agricultural communities, and the other side, you have the pastoral nomadic people groups. So this went on, and there were these agrarian, sedentary agrarian communities. They formed sort of villages also, certainly the habitats, etc. And what happened is that when there is drought and etc., they could also suddenly reap this like rice-like or the wheat-like, etc., these grass, these cereals, and they could treat them, process them, and in small silos they could stock them. That gave them a sort of a guarantee and insurance against natural disasters. Well, but when it I mean, it grew and grew, and these villagers grew, there was this basic thing, which I think that's what I've said, or perhaps missed to say, that when we say of the human beings or human groups, there is one thing that in many religious and spiritual texts, they have said there's who am I, or who are we, etc., and where we are going, etc. So here we can say that we are not just me or individuals, or we are not just a collective where the individual does not matter. In fact, the human beings, we can say that they are me, us, and them. Me, us, and them. That me and I and our group, the near and dear ones, and also others. Now, this me and us is, as I already said, they were from 20 to 25 people. They could really, they were almost genetically related and highly related. There were then others. These with others, the relation was sometimes just coexistence, and sometimes just friendly, and exchanges, especially because exchanging women for and they found that the inbreeding was, I mean, very risky. So they got the women from the other groups in or out, etc., for married and for childbearing, etc. And then also this the other relation was sometimes very conflictual, and even fighting, especially when there, I mean, in those days and many others also, we know the history of Egypt. Many times there were these droughts and etc. Okay, so when these droughts and happened, and they were really sort of famine, when there is survival, people just go and try to survive, and with this morality, etc., that we should not steal or etc., they just go away. Even nowadays we observe this. So what might happen there, and this is again perspective, this the scenarios of the past, not of the scenarios of the future. So we can very well say that those moments, there were the other groups, they could steal, and there was a fight, etc. And well, after sometimes they were certainly, after fight is peace comes on, etc. So this sort of thing went on, and also among the nomado-pastoral groups is the same thing. Stealing, stealing in dire times, not always, certainly not, because there is this what we call the peace dividend. Peace almost is much more beneficial than fight. So well, this went on, and then what happened that with developments, with let's say in Egypt, in the Nile Valley, with fast boats and bows and arrows, etc., there were others which came to steal, not only steal, and sort of robbers with I mean force. Steal, a thief steals in a very sneaky way, not certainly not openly, but the robber comes openly, and by force he takes away things, and the valuables, especially grains, etc., sort of thing. Now this thing went on, and then there was, I mean, the ordinary agricultural people, they were at a loss what to do, etc. Then the human mind is also very creative, not only for positive things but also for negative ones. Negative means unacceptable to a greater groups. So there were some chiefs or robbers who proposed that, okay, I'll save the villagers against those many other robbers, etc., but you have to give me some money, which we can consider as this racket money. So the robber became a baron, and this is in English language, we have the robber barons. And that's how the first kings and etc., they were resident robbers. And they used to dominate, and this racket money ultimately became a tribute, and much later became a rent in the feudal times. And meanwhile, there were also the people who were enslaved also, just like the means of production, etc. So that's how it went on, and that's how the history began. And the history is always written by the more powerful, the winners. So we have this exploitation, domination, and writing with the clay tablets in the Mesopotamia. They are this. Okay. And this is about history. So what happened is that in my own research and study, when I in history, it's almost the same. All whether the present empires or kingdoms or a bit before, and then before, and then before. You go on the Roman times, you see it's the same time, the palace cliques, the power cliques, and etc. And even in Egypt, you have the same things. The power cliques, the power class, and the the spiritual, the priest class, and the royal and the ruling class, etc. And certainly on the back of the people, it went on. So this is the thing that which has started, and we can have a date, and perhaps in other videos I'll say that is around 6,000 years. Now 6,000 years looks very big, it's true, but at the same time in the human chronology it's not that much big. And even compared to the Neolithic revolution around 10,000 years, it's around 4,000 years short. So before 6,000 years, we can say that this sort of thing, this peace and fight on peace was going on, but there was no permanent solution or a permanent domination, etc. But from that time on, this is going on. And we have seen nowadays, today we are in June, in summer 2025, we're on the verge of, there are real big wars growing, and we're verge of, say, Third World War or Fourth World War, whatever it is. So this has come to a climax, a negative, certainly a negative climax, and climaxing. But the thing is that there is, it's not just hope. What I have found, in fact, a bit recently also, let's say maybe just 2 or 3 years ago, which because originally I come from a family which were almost atheist, and but very moral, but almost atheist, and we used to believe in science and technology, and science has progressed, etc. And myself I was in physics, and teacher of science, student of physics, teacher of physics, etc. But then now it seems to me, well, I'll go on, this is sort of branching out, that without God, we cannot solve this problem. We cannot solve this problem. And the solution, which seems to me, I will still, am very summarily, I'm saying that 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ, I'm not a Christian, but Jesus Christ was a great man, and I respect all the religions, especially the founding truths of all religions and spiritual thoughts and scriptures. Okay, Jesus Christ says that, in French it's very well communicated. He says, aimez-vous les uns les autres comme Dieu vous aime. In English, I think it's said that love thee. That means you the people, love one another. Love one another as God loves you. It seems to me today this is the basic solution. Not just any mathematics, sociology, or social science, or intellectual blah blah. I have gone through all of this. But this basic thing is that that there must be loving care for others. It's not that I don't care, I give a damn. No, that doesn't work, and this has brought us to this almost hell, and in the doorsteps of annihilation, of mutually mad, mutually assured destruction. Okay, so this is the basic thing which we can. I mean, we can what we can get out of this problem is this loving care, but it is not sufficient. So what we need is this love and care, but also interdevelopment. That means in all the human beings, man or woman, we have to interdevelop in our own way, in a physical way, in a natural way, the natural, cultural, and our worldly ways. So in another video I have said, and perhaps I will say another, that we can have a very a guide sort of thing, a small exercise book, just 96 page of exercise book, and when half of it, which will let me show it here. This sort of thing, this sort of exercise book is a half demi, which is called demi. It is half of this A4, and here this we can call a life book. Life book means there is the first half, or let's say there's 96 pages, or well, this is a good one, 96 pages, and we can have the first 30 pages or 36 pages of about guidebook, and the rest is about notebook, which means the guidebook plus notebook makes a life book, a companion of life, which is companion sort of guide, a very human guide sort of, not a very heavenly, or you have to do this and that, because we are lost in fact. So this sort of thing we can have. We having starting with just very specific data and information about my weight, my height, my blood pressure, and etc., and the date of birth, which suggests that how old I am, etc., and then many other things. And we said we will note down our natural aspects, and then also cultural aspects, at what level we are, and also very important worldly aspects, and what I do. Am I still not an what shall I say, not an adult, let's say less than a teenager, etc., or that already an adult, I have a working life, I earn my own living, and what do I do, etc. So the technical, not technical really, these details I'll go on in another video. So this can be, and this I say that in a very nutshell or a short way, I say happy and peaceful life for each to everybody. So this we can start from everybody. Anybody can start it, and there is no government, no big power in fact is coming to say that you stop this. No, the things exist. We should not be we should call a spade a spade. But I think even the big powers and etc., they are not really interested if somebody starts to have a way of life, a happy and peaceful life for himself and others. This is the thing, that it is not for myself but others, me, us, and also them. And then I have evolved a sort of scale or indicators, which which is very very easy and simple, very simple, because words do not suffice. Words are not sufficient sometimes to express or to communicate some ideas or some state of things. So we can have 1, 2, 3 these degrees of things. What. Now there's whenever sometimes we go to hospital or in clinics and we have a pain, and the doctors or nurses said that your pain is how do you situate your pain from 0 to 10?